Hi, welcome to Global Vegan Business Expo. Today's discussion is about raising conscious children, and I am joined today by two mothers from New York and London, Neetu and Deena. And my name is Ritika. I am joining you from Mumbai. So we are going to take you through and share our experiences about raising vegan children and our vegan pregnancies and our whole vegan journey in the hope that it inspires some of you to give it a shot. So I'll jump straight into the discussion and I'll ask Deena to introduce herself and also share with us about her vegan journey and her vegan pregnancy also. So over to you, Deena.
Hi Ritika, hi Neetu. Thank you for asking me to join the Vegan Expo. It sounds very exciting. So yes, my name's Deena Ahern. I'm from the UK. I am a vegan and a vegan activist and a vegan mother. I'll share a little bit about my vegan journey. I became vegan about 10 or 11 years ago. And I mean, the way it happened for me was a sort of a light switch moment where I, realized what the realities of the dairy industry were. I came across a video on YouTube. It was evening. I remember the day very well. And it was like a light switch. After that, I couldn't touch dairy after that. And then I was a quiet vegan, I would call myself. I would just sort of get on with doing my thing, but if somebody asked me, then I would maybe talk about it, but otherwise I didn't get involved in anything else. And I did that for about 5 years into my vegan journey. And then all the while I would be, say, on the internet, and I would be coming across these videos of animals suffering and the animal agricultural industry and the cruelties associated with it. And deep inside me was this growing pain that it wasn't enough. Me being vegan wasn't enough, and there had to be something more that I could do that should be done. And somebody close to me at the time said, he came home and I was crying. I had watched a video and I was crying, and he said to me, "What are you crying for?" And I said, "Well, I've just seen this video of this cow and he's being abused." And he stopped, and I was expecting a little bit of sympathy, and instead he turned around and he said, "What are you doing about it?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean, what am I doing about it?" And he said, "Well, what are you doing about it?" And I think that was the kick that I needed. And he basically urged me to use my legal skills, my public speaking skills, my ability to sort of, speak to a wider audience. He sort of drove that idea into my mind that you can be using all these skills you have to be helping the animal rights movement. And so then 5 years ago, I became an animal rights activist. And also 3 years ago, I actually decided to give up practicing law. I'm a lawyer as well, but I gave up practicing law as full-time law 3 years ago because I wanted to dedicate more time to the animal rights movement. And currently pre-COVID times, so up until March, I was giving talks all over the country on the realities of the animal agricultural industry. And also I was part of the Animal Save movement as well, going to slaughterhouses, bearing witness to animals going to slaughter. I do a lot of work here in the Hindu community as well, so raising awareness about the realities of the dairy industry amongst the Hindu community here especially, which is very interesting work. And as you mentioned as well, I am also a vegan mother as well. I have a 20-month young son who is also vegan and thriving as well. I didn't know, do you want me to talk about my vegan pregnancy now, or should I talk about that later?
Go ahead, go for it.
So my pregnancy was an interesting journey because I was what you call a geriatric mother. Okay, so here they have this term that if you're over a certain age, they call you geriatric. And I was pregnant, I conceived at the age of 38. and then gave birth at 39. And I also have a couple of medical conditions. One is lupus and one is protein S deficiency. Now, for those that don't know what these conditions are, very quickly, protein S deficiency is a blood clotting condition. It doesn't affect me at any other times, but the times it can affect me, and I was always warned about this by the consultants, was if I became pregnant, it could affect me because I could miscarry. You know, I would be a very high risk pregnancy if I became pregnant. And then there's the lupus as well. And with lupus, that has all sorts of complications because the fetus can have neonatal lupus. There can be all sorts of complications. The baby might not grow fully. So the minute I became pregnant, the consultants put me in the high risk category. And I constantly had these appointments. And at every appointment, I would have scans. I would have different consultants in the room. They would be, you know, checking the baby's heart rate. They were doing all the measurements. And to their amazement, they just could not understand how I was having a healthy pregnancy. They just could not understand it. To them, they were expecting me to be in and out of hospital. And the whole 9 months, I had the most healthy, the most vibrant pregnancy ever. Now, one of the questions they would ask me is, what are you doing? Because all the other patients that they see in hematology, in rheumatology, all the specialist clinics that they have for mothers that are pregnant with these conditions, they have babies that are not growing to their size. They have heart palpitations. The mothers have to go on fairly strong medication because of the risk of blood clots. And all I was doing was having the heparin injection every day, a very low dosage of heparin injection every day throughout my pregnancy. And there was nothing else. Baby was growing fine. And in fact, at every single scan, they couldn't believe that the baby was growing to the size that they didn't expect. They expected me to deliver early. So I was already part of the hospital labor ward from week 35. Baby didn't come along until week 41. And they couldn't believe it. They just couldn't believe it. And when they asked me, what are you doing? My answer to that was, I am doing nothing different apart from the fact that I follow a plant-based vegan diet. And I said, and therefore I am not putting in my body things that are not meant to go in my body, because my body is able to utilize and process the plant goodness rather than dairy and meat, which causes inflammation and all sorts of other problems. My body doesn't have to deal with that. And they just couldn't fathom that idea. So my vegan pregnancy, much to the doctor's surprise, went really, really well. And I really do put a lot of that down to the fact that I was following a vegan diet, coupled with the fact that I was obviously of a very positive mindset, and the two go hand in hand.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Dina. I think you've really, gone through a lot and then come out the other side. And I'm sure Ilan is must be really healthy baby now.
He's very healthy. And actually, Ritika, one more thing I forgot to mention, that when I was 17 and I was diagnosed with lupus, I was sat down by the doctor, and the doctor said to me, look, I must tell you, you probably will not be able to have children.
Oh, wow.
From the age of 17, I had in my mind prepared that I will most probably have to adopt. Yeah. And I had accepted that. I had absolutely accepted that. And I said, that's fine. If I have to adopt, I will adopt, because the doctors were convinced that I would not be able to conceive because of the lupus, because of the other condition. And I do really believe that being vegan has really helped.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. Thank you for that. Neetu, I'll hand over the mic to you. And can you please share with us your vegan journey? I know you have been vegan longer than both of us. I believe it's 23 years. Yes. And that's amazing. So can you tell us, what was your journey like? And since you've been vegan for so long, it might be slightly different than what we have experienced. So your vegan journey, and of course your vegan pregnancy also. Go for it.
Sure. So I see a lot of similarities between my journey and mine. One that we both are lawyers. Um, and we turned vegan overnight, seeing a video, which happened with me too. So back 23 years ago, vegan was not a word that people knew. Nobody was aware of the word vegan, let alone what veganism stands for. I happened to see this video on dairy cows by Mrs. Maneka Gandhi. It was very shocking to me. I mean, the way the cows were being used and abused, and the calves being taken, even back in the day. I mean, it was just as gruesome. I know it's grown much, much more, but like how we consider the Indian cow to be holy, we consider Indian cow to be some, like we consider them, that we take good care of them, and we let the calf drink the milk, and then we take the milk. There's all these myths involved, Lord Krishna and all of, I grew up thinking that milk was the least cruel thing I was consuming. um Little did I know those cows go through pretty much the same thing as a cow that goes for beef, and the same cow eventually is sent for slaughter. So when people say that milk is equal to beef, I really believe it. And I saw it in the video, and overnight I was like, I could not think of consuming milk anymore. It was very shocking for everybody around me, especially my mother. I was very young, and she thought that I was losing my mind, because I was already this outcast who would bring home stray dogs, who would be always trying to save an animal, and she was already annoyed with that. And now this new thing about me being vegan, and she said, you're gonna be very sick, and you go to college, you won't be able to study. Little did she know that I did very well in my studies. I think my mind, like, I think dairy also helps with your brain development, and I see it with my son as well, and I'm going to talk more about it. I saw a lot more alertness, you know, in terms of my studies. I was excelling, my health improved, and my mom was still not, she still does not believe it, but now 23 years later, she's a vegan herself. So it's a it's a huge change from that. Mom, like, she'd call people home to say, please, ask her to drink some milk. They would chuck down like glasses of milk down my throat. I've gone through all that. And like Dina said, I was a closeted vegan. Nobody knew I was vegan for some time, because I was sort of um, scared, scared of talking about it. At some point, when everybody, including my friends, would call me names and say something is wrong with her. I don't know what she's gotten into. So few years, yes, I did not talk about it. When I came to the US, which was like 3 years after I turned vegan, I realized there were a little bit more choices. When you're in India, you have to leave everything. There were no substitutes back in the day. So if you like your tea and you like milk in your tea, you have to leave tea alone. Like, you cannot have tea anymore, right? Or you go without milk. And I was too young to, so I gave up everything back in the day. When I came to US, I saw soy milk on some of the shelves, and I picked them up. I was happy. Definitely from that to now, it's a whole new world for vegans. But yeah, it was tough. Even in the US, like, people wouldn't know what it was. So and then there was a very small animal rights movement. I would go to New York to these uh, few people standing on the streets giving out leaflets. I would do that. It wasn't very big. Now it is. It's very encouraging. My son goes with me all the time. I will talk about my son. My son makes me so proud. So of course, when I was pregnant with him, I was vegan. And like Dina said, it was the best time of my life. I was happiest. I was doing very well, was thriving. And my son was, like, people might think on a vegan diet, your child will be small. He was big. He was a 8 pound 11 baby. So he was a big baby. And it was very happy time of my life. Of course, I had to take all of my stuff from home. I would pack this big bag of fruits and vegetables and all of the stuff I needed throughout the day. Now, I am a Wall Street attorney. So my day would start at 7:30 in the morning go up to 12 in the night. So I would come home at 12, leave at 7:30 in the morning. So that was a long day. I didn't feel any different from my regular day, even though I was carrying this baby, traveling on trains and stuff. It was just the same. I think the vegan diet is it's such a perfect diet. It not only gives you that physical satisfaction, I think it gives you a mental satisfaction as well. I was so baby came, he was healthy, he was breastfed for what 14 months. From that to then, we went to semi-solids, solids, and soy milk. We tried every kind of milk with him, and I don't know if people know, there are about 14 different types of milks available in the market that are plant-based. We've tried everything with him, so he has a taste for everything. He's benefited from everything, I guess. He's 9 now. Very active, very academically very good. I think he's like my calculator. So if I don't know I would say, can you calculate this for me real fast? And he'll do it in his head and give me the answers. So I really feel that it's got a lot to do with what your child is putting in his body. You know, what else can I talk about him? Like, he's a little activist. I know when he was in a stroller, little baby, I would still take him to the protests and all that. When he was a little bit older, he would stand outside the stroller and pass out flyers and leaflets. I remember going to circus protests, and he would tell, "Don't go to circus, don't go to circus." So he's grown up to be like, he was already this activist, and he's, I think he's grown a lot more now. He's a little shy, but he would still at every opportunity talk about how he's so proud to be vegan, how he feels like like I told him when he was younger that you're a vegan superhero, because he was the only one in the class who would be different from everybody else. So in case they were having a school party or something, I would have to call into the school and say, can you please arrange some vegan like ice cream for him or vegan cookies for him? And his would be different, right? Everybody else gets the same, and he gets something different. So he'd come home and say, why do I get something different? And I would say, you're a vegan superhero. And there's only one Superman, one Spider-Man, there's only one of you. So you're saving the world, you're saving all the animals. So he believed it, and he still believes it, I guess. So that really worked for him. And he feels proud to be different. So that's pretty much like what I went through. Like 23 years is a long time. I don't know. It was tough in the beginning, super easy now. I tell people that if you cannot do it now, I don't know when you can do it.
That's true.
If a little 9-year-old can do it, you can do it for sure.
Yeah, I love the vegan superhero thing. I think I'm going to use that with my kids too, because right now in Mumbai, I don't even know a single other family, maybe one or two families who are raising their kids vegan. So I love that vegan superhero thing, and I think you've given him such a beautiful start, Neetu. It's amazing, and I look forward to hearing even Dina's story. But before that, I'm going to share about my journey. I went vegan 11 and a half years ago, and back then, again, there was no dairy alternatives. We had to make everything at home, and that got me interested in baking. And then I just started baking, and I started a small little vegan bakery, which I used to run from home. And yeah, I think it was, I think it's safe to say it was India's first vegan bakery. And I have no background in baking, so I'm just pretty much a self-taught baker. And yeah, and that helped me connect with so many more vegans. And like, I still come across so many people who say, oh yeah, you used to run that 10 years ago, and they still remember me from back then. So yeah, it's amazing. Like, the circle was so small then, everyone knew everyone, and now it's growing, and it's growing so big and so quickly, and it's lovely. And so yeah, when I conceived, I had been vegan for 6 years. So my family already kind of expected me to continue with the diet, but I still got a lot of questions about ghee specifically, because in India, I think there's this ingrained kind of thing that you need to have ghee to have a normal pregnancy. And I even had people tell me you will not be able to push your baby out because, you know, you're not having ghee. And I had two pretty much normal pregnancies. So what I'm trying to say is that, you know, there's nothing, you can't expect the vegan diet to have any sort of impact on your pregnancies if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet or something as close to a whole food plant-based diet as possible. I kept my vitamins in check. I tested regularly, and if I was deficient in anything like vitamin D or B12, I took a supplement. And I had two very normal, natural water births here in Mumbai. So it was, you know, I think it was as normal as what one would expect a pregnancy to be like. And that's what I'm, you know, we all three of us are trying to say that Dina, even with her pre-existing conditions, still managed to go ahead and you know, have such a beautiful journey, and so did Neetu. The Neetu's the veteran over here. She's been at it for much longer than both of us. So, Dina, I'll go back to you now and ask you about Ilan and what you're doing with Ilan, and you know, and specifically when it comes to social situations, because I know for me here in India it's different. For you in London also, I don't know how different it is, like if the kids see other kids eating stuff, or how hard or easy it is for you to you know, when school begins for him. What are your plans like? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. And also, Nitu, I'm going to be using the vegan superhero term as well. It's brilliant. So Ilan is at nursery here, and he goes 2 days a week. And he's 20 months young, and he started nursery when he was 16 months. So he's been at nursery for 4 months now. And when I was going around trying to look for a suitable nursery, and you know, I would go and visit these places, one of the conversations that I was having with the managers was, well, you know, how do you cater for vegan diet requirements? And the nursery I actually chose, the manager that took me around, she said, oh, I'm actually vegetarian, looking at going vegan. And instantly we clicked, because I thought, great, you know, because I was once vegetarian and then I went vegan. And so we got talking like that. And she basically reassured me that, you know, it's not so much an issue anymore in the schools and in the nurseries now, because what they are finding is that so many more children are actually coming out with dairy intolerances. And the message is so clear there that, you know, we are not they're not baby cows. So, you know, their bodies are telling you, stop giving them, you know, the substance that's never been made for them. And, you know, so she said to me that actually we have so many children and so many babies that are dairy intolerant. So we always have vegan alternatives here. And I said, that's brilliant. So basically when he's at nursery, and every time he goes, I get a full breakdown of what they've given him, how much he ate, all of that, because at the moment, he's not a great eater. He's going through teething and growing, so he's a very fussy eater. So I like to have a full breakdown. And I've noticed that every time they give the other children dairy yogurt, they will have a soya yogurt or coconut yogurt for him. Or if they give cheese sandwiches for the other children, they will have vegan cheese sandwiches for him. So at this age, I don't think he notices that there's a difference and what the other children are having and what he is having. I don't know what it will be like as he gets older, but one thing is for sure, I've already started to introduce some really, really great vegan books for children. There's one that says, "That's not my mama's milk." And it goes through all the different animals, and it says, that's a mama cow, her milk is for her calf, that's a mama pig, her milk is for her piglets. Anyway, the nursery was great enough to even go and get that book and add it to their bookshelf. So I think we're living in a day and age, and as Nitu said as well, I mean, Nitu's been vegan for far longer, as you said, than us. And even 10 years ago, when I became vegan, it was so difficult. It was just, we were so in the minority, and veganism has grown so exponentially now. Not to mention, as lawyers, Nitu and I will know this, that, you know, we have equality legislation here. We have, you know, one of our protected beliefs is veganism in the UK. And so, you know, if a school or if a nursery turned around and said, we are not accommodating your child, I would be coming down on them like a ton of bricks with all the law, because we are legally protected that they have to accommodate. And the great thing is, we live in a day and age where veganism is a protected belief. And you know, who wants to go to the media and who wants to go to the newspapers to say this nursery refused to accommodate? Nobody wants that kind of bad reputation. So I think we're going the right way. At the moment, the nursery is great. They accommodate. I don't know what it will be like when he goes to school. I just hope that he doesn't feel like he's missing out. I just hope that he feels that he's the superhero here, and I will start planting that seed. And you know, if there comes a day when he turns around and says, well, I want to eat what they're eating, I don't want to eat this, I want to eat that, I will be having a very frank conversation with him, and I will be very much laying out the facts. I will have a video in the background showing him what happens, and then I will say, Ilan, your choice. Where does your moral compass tell you to go? And I mean, that's all I can do.
That's beautiful. I think that's pretty much the way I'm also going about it now. But yeah, I'll ask Neetu specifically to tell me what, you know, Neetu, you have a son who's 9 now. So would you be able to tell us if you are doing anything specific in terms of his nutrition, or did you do anything specific in terms of his nutrition when he was growing up?
So, you know, like the vegan diet is already, I was already like, it just came as second nature for me, I guess, when he was born. Like we were already a vegan household. So we started off with what regular moms do, like pureed broccoli, pureed carrots, peas, or corn. You know, we started off with that, then transitioned into then, you know, okay, so this is one thing that I want to say, and I know most of our audience is going to be Indian, that our Indian thali, which consists of roti, rice, your lentils, dal, and vegetables, and if you have salad, nothing like it. Like the thali itself is a complete meal. It's a most perfect meal that our ancestors came up with. We don't have to look outside that. And I think it provides you with everything that you want: your protein, your vitamins, all the nutrition that you want, your fiber, grains, everything. So we did just that. You know, we started off with like vegetables, and then we transitioned into roti, sabzi, rice, all of that. I try to do brown rice as much possible. We try to do good grains. You know, we try to do quinoa. We try to do ragi. We try to include more healthier grains. But he being, you know, his age, we do have a lot of stuff that we build that's supposed to be like the meat count or the non-vegan counterparts, like mac and cheese. So I do my mac and cheese at home. We even get in the market nowadays, which is vegan. We do pizzas and we do all of that, because I don't want him to think that he's just being deprived. I want him to think that he's getting everything that everybody else is getting, only it's nicer, only it's healthier, and it's not cruel to another living being, which is very, very well ingrained in him from the beginning. Like every time, I remember when he was younger, when he was very, very young, I would show him this video, and I want to mention this to anybody who's watching. There's this very nice series of videos called Bite Size Vegan. I think there's a section only for kids, which talks about what honey is, what milk is, where it comes from, why it is not good for you, but in a very childlike way. They get it. There's a lot of animation used. The person talking is very like kid friendly, so the kids really get it. So I used to put those videos on for him when he was younger. He would get it. He in fact like would talk about it like to his friends. So those things actually get ingrained in them as they're growing. They understand. And when we have animals at home, we have 3 cats. So compassion, like, and I totally believe this, right? Children are born with compassion. They're born with compassion. That's the reason parents give them those teddy bears and stuffed animals, because they gravitate towards those fluffy little animals, because compassion is something that a value that we are born with. Unfortunately, our social conditioning, our fears that parents have, that kind of gets passed on to our kids. And then they start thinking of animals as food, animals that as entertainments, animals that they can abuse and it's okay, because that's what they're being taught socially. I think if we retain that compassion that they're born with, they will all turn out to be great. They will all turn out to be great. So I'm a big proponent of the fact that you should have one pet at least in the house, because kids always want pets. You'd always see, I see my kids, my son's friends always want to come to our house to pet the cats, or they would want animal of their own, so it's already there. It's already there. We just need to retain it. And that's so important, and we did I think me, like, because of the activism background, he would go with me. He would see these videos. We still watch cat and dog videos, like funny cats and dog videos. So it's like, it's there. I don't know. It's never an effort, really. It's never an effort. It's just that the outside world is so different from what these kids already have, that they change. But if you're able to have that little support system in the house, they'll stay nice and compassionate and loving.
Yeah, I think, like, taking your point further about the animals, if you see all the books and all the stories that the kids have, they're all about animals. Like, all the kids' books have an animal as a central character. And then we teach them that, it's okay to eat these animals, and it's okay to, not hurt these animals. And there is a difference between a pet and your food. And yeah, that's something I think the adults need to see before the children do, because it's so, like, we're conditioned, and there's this cognitive dissonance that's there. And yeah, I think, I hope that people who are watching it also, are able to see that, and teach their kids. And I'm going to check those bite-sized vegan videos, because I think my kids are 5 and almost 3 right now, so they're at that age where when we pre-COVID, we used to go for birthday parties, and they used to see what the other kids are eating. And some people are really nice enough to organize for a vegan cake for us. And even though we're probably the only two, the only family with the vegan kids over there, but it is hard. I used to carry cakes along to birthday parties, and give them a choice, like, this is a vegan cake, and that cake's got dairy in it, so you choose what you want to eat. And like Dina said, I think that's probably the more realistic way to go about it, because if you're going to go and say, you can't eat that, then the child's going to feel left out and maybe even want to eat that even more. And I think that's the approach that even I'm going to take with my children, to say, give them the truth. Like, this cake has milk from a cow, and this is the cake that we made from home. So I think it's really important as they grow, because even my daughter is going to school now and eating lunch at school. And the lunch is, even though it's vegetarian, they do serve dahi separately, curd separately. So she is seeing other kids bring stuff, and I do know that they do discuss food, because one day she came and told me, Mama, everybody in my class eats chicken, and like, she's the only one who doesn't. And that's crazy, because look at the number of children, like, being taught that it's okay to eat the hen, and it's okay to keep a pet at home and not eat that pet. So yeah, I think the younger we begin, and the more honest and we are about what they are eating, I think hopefully as they grow older, they'll be able to make better choices. And I think it's important to give them that launch pad, you know, in all truth and all honesty. Yeah, so Dina, I'm going to ask you now, if you have any tips for you know, people who are watching, and you know, if just like snippets, if you have any, about raising their kids consciously, and also maybe about pregnancy, whatever you feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing that I always say to people when they're considering going vegan, whether it be that they're looking at raising their child vegan or having a vegan pregnancy or going vegan themselves, I always just recommend that, look, do your research first. You know, don't just suddenly become so fond of the idea, and don't become so wed to the idealistic that you actually forget or miss laying the important foundations. And the foundations are the knowledge, the education of where you can get the vital nutrients, because you can be a healthy vegan and you can be a really unhealthy vegan. And in my group, in my communities, amongst my friends, I have amazingly healthy, vibrant vegan friends, and I have really unhealthy vegan friends who actually will hold their hands up and say, yeah, they're unhealthy vegans. So you get both. Okay, so get this thing out of your head that if you're vegan, it automatically means you're healthy. No, if you're following a whole food plant-based diet, then yes, you can be absolutely extremely healthy. And in fact, you can reverse a lot of your lifestyle conditions and diseases if you have any. With regards to sort of having a vegan pregnancy, I mean, you know, you would be doing all the normal things that you would be doing if you were not vegan, in terms of making sure you get your adequate amounts of calcium, in terms of making sure that you've got adequate amounts of, you know, the B12, vitamin D, protein, all the different vital nutrients. And you know, grab a pregnancy supplement. There are so many vegan pregnancy supplements available. And that's not, and for those people that might be thinking, there you go, you've got to have a supplement. Well, actually, most non-vegan pregnant women will also be having a supplement as well. Okay, so the doctors, the hospitals will recommend that when you are pregnant, that you also top your nutrients up with a supplement. So whether you're vegan or not, grab a good supplement, and just make sure that if you are following a vegan diet, make sure it is whole food and plant-based. Nitu said, you know, very succinctly there about the thali. You know, the most basic, fundamental dish within Indian Gujarati history is the thali. And as she said, you've got your pulses, your lentils, your beans, your rice, you've got your carbs, the protein, you've got your iron, you've got your fiber, you've got all those fundamental things there. And you know what's amazing about it? It's cheap. It's not even expensive to obtain these things. Meat, yeah, cheap meat, chickens that are slaughtered on the side of the street. Do you really want to put that in your body when there's a little baby growing inside of you? Or do you want to have nourishing beans, lentils, pulses, which nourishes you and the baby? I mean, I know which one I would obviously go for. And when you actually have your baby, gosh, like I'm still breastfeeding. And so he's 20 months and I'm kind of glad that I'm still breastfeeding him, because like I said, he's not a great eater right now. And at least I know that he's still getting some nutrition from me, and he's getting good nutrition from me. I give him a wide variety of foods. You know, he might not eat it all. And when I put the food on the plate, I know most of it will probably end up being given to, you know, we have some animals at the back in the big field. So often we go and give whatever food we have left over, we'll go and give it to them. And I know it will normally go in the bag for the animals, but at least he's playing around with red kidney beans, he's playing around with chickpeas, he's playing around with carrots and cucumber and all of that. Just give a wide variety of foods, and trust that your child, your baby, will pick up what they need to pick up. They will nourish themselves with what they need to nourish themselves with. A common thing that I sometimes get asked, and I don't know whether you both ever got asked this, was, oh, you're a vegan, so will you make milk okay? Will you be able to breastfeed okay? You know, how, like, surely you need to be having, you know, cow's milk, and what about the ghee and the strength? You know, you're nourishing another baby. My milk flow is amazing, right? And again, like I said, 20 months and I'm still going strong. In fact, just recently, I had a friend who was struggling to produce enough milk because she was in hospital, and I offered to donate some of my breast milk because I'm creating enough, because nature is working through me, because I'm providing my body the nutrients that it needs to be able to work properly. It's not fighting against itself. When you have dairy and meat, your body's fighting against itself. So that's what I would say to people who are thinking about it. You're absolutely going to be doing good for your body and for your baby if you do a whole food plant-based diet, but do your research.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think I also have to add, yes, the breastfeeding bit, I did get a lot of questions about that, because that's automatically the next thing after you give birth. How are you going to breastfeed? So yeah, I also breastfed both my kids for over 24 months. Both of them weaned at 26 and 27 months. So yeah, that's the thing. You know, there is nothing that you know, the diet lacks that will not allow you to have a normal, natural pregnancy and motherhood. Neetu, is there anything you would like to say? I think we lost Neetu. Oops, yeah, I think we lost Neetu. Anyway, so I think we're almost out of time. We've done well with the time today. So I'm going to, I think we just give it maybe 10 seconds to see if Neetu's joining. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, there she is. Neetu, can you hear us?
Yeah, I guess I lost you for a little bit.
Yeah, just you know, like just very quickly, if you can, about you know, few tips for vegan parents and whatever you feel like.
I have a lot of tips actually. Just let's just from going with what you guys spoke about. I just few bits and pieces. I thought I a little bit more out. Like Ritika, you said, right? We cannot allow children to have this. You know, it's not right to tell them. I tell my son that don't say I cannot have this.
I'm
Say I
going to
don't
interrupt.
have this. It makes a huge difference. Just change. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think your internet connection is not okay, because it's very patchy.
Okay. Let me think. You're going to edit.
Maybe if you can just turn your video off and see if that helps. Yeah, I think it's better now. Can you say?
It's better now.
Not really. It's still a bit patchy.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Just give me a second. I'm going to try and put on hotspot, okay? Just give me a second.
Yeah, I'll pause the recording. Yeah, Neetu, if you can tell us a few tips for vegan parents or moms to be, whatever you have in mind.
Sure. Absolutely. I do. I mean, since my son is older, I think I have a little bit, I could have seen a little bit more things than you may have, or you may encounter it later on. So one thing I thought my son to say is that instead of saying, I cannot have this, like when he goes to somebody's house and they're offering him something non-vegan, he would not say, I cannot have it. It makes him seem like it makes it seem like it's a handicap that he cannot. It's something to be feeling sad about. You know, instead he says, I don't have it. And that little change of words, huge different mindset of the child. You know, when he says, I don't have it, he knows why he's saying it. as opposed to I cannot have it, and he feels sorry for himself also. Oh, everybody else is having an ice cream and I cannot have it. When he says I don't have it, he feels strong that yes, I make a choice not having this. So that's one tip I would always give to parents who are transitioning, who are vegan already, who have younger children, that teach them to say, this is why I don't do it. Because every time they say it, the bell rings in their head why they're doing it. And talking about supplements, like Dina said, that um, there's one supplement that I'd absolutely recommend for anybody who's vegan, including children, is B12. And the reason is it's not because vegans are deficient. We need something from outside. That means our diet is incomplete. B12, actually, let me tell for people who don't know what B12 is. It's a bacteria that's found in the soil. So every time we wash, suppose we take a carrot, we wash it, we clean it, we remove the bacteria from that. When we cook it, the bacteria dies. So the kind of society, the kind of very clean, like everything is cleaned and polished before it comes to the market. Right? Every food is 3 times cleaned before it comes to market. If we were to live in the wild, I'm sure we would not be cleaning it. We would just take it, maybe dip it in the river and eat it, right? If not even that. So the B12 would already be there. And the reason that animals get the B12 and people who eat animals get the B12 is because the animals are not washing and scrubbing their food, you know? That's how they're getting it. Even so, a lot of meat eaters still have B12 supplements. The reason we are having it is because our food is very clean. If our food is not clean, you don't need the supplements. But unfortunately, because of modernization, we need that. So I would say kids, we get a lot of vegan supplements. Kids and adults should have B12 supplements. It doesn't make our diet any less nutritious. Um, what other things that I was, so going to birthday parties, right? Uh, it was hard back in the day. I would always carry a cupcake. I would always carry a slice of pizza or a sandwich from home, because one, parents wouldn't get it. Like they would say, oh, I don't know what to do, so I would, it's okay, I'll take care of it, and I would bring my son's food from home. Now people know about veganism, and there's so much available on the shelves of the supermarket that I don't even have to, all I have to say is that this is a dietary restriction, unfortunately, to say that my son is not going to be having the pizza that's going to be served. Can you make sure that either the pizza does not have cheese on it, or there's a vegan slice available? And if you can arrange for a cupcake, and parents are very happily doing it. There's no issue now. If there is, I always send food from home. And there's, like I said, my son has this mindset about, oh, my food is different, I am different, and I'm happy about it. So he doesn't feel anything about having something that's different. In fact, he tells me that, oh, everybody else wanted my food. so I think it's about how you ingrain it in their head. It takes them makes I think it takes them through the journey, which to the outsiders seems a little bit difficult, very, very easily.
Yeah, Neetu, there's so much to learn from you. I'm so amazed at how you powered through this with your son, and I hope one day we can have maybe like a meeting with your son also talking about all of this. That'll be amazing to hear. But yeah, it's quite. I'm gonna quickly like maybe talk about some things from my perspective. I think that of course the nutrition is important, as close to a whole food plant-based diet as possible, and taking a little bit from what Dina said earlier, the positivity is what really helps. If you're positive that you can do it, I think automatically people will know that it's possible. And I was telling somebody earlier, when people go to doctors, they are very worried about having patients now, because everybody reads stuff on the internet and comes to them with a whole bunch of symptoms, and they've already decided that they have something so like, serious. And the doctors are quite irritated with people, Googling their symptoms. So I think that's, but for me, like in my journey, reading about people on the internet who've already been in this situation really, really helped with my confidence. So I reached out to, people who have gone through vegan pregnancies and who are raising their kids vegan. And, that forming that community is really important, and it really it boosts your morale and confidence, especially when you don't have too many people around. And as we are seeing veganism growing here in India. I think it's grown much more in the US and in the UK. But I think surrounding yourself with the right kind of people really helps. So yeah, I think we've covered as much as we could in today's discussion, and I really want to thank Neetu and Dina for sharing everything with us that they did today. Um, it's been amazing, and I hope that we can do more of these discussions. So thanks so much, Dina and Neetu. Thanks.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.